Today.
Hi guys, today we're in Louisville, Kentucky, home of Louisville Slugger, KFC, and the Kentucky Derby. Those are nice, but we're here for Bricks and Minifigs.
Alright, hi guys, welcome to the channel. Adam, Brock, you guys tell us about your shop.
Bricks Minifigs, we're an independently owned and operated franchise based out of Canby, Oregon, was where it's originally based out of. Since been sold and is based out of Orem, Utah. We were the 7th location to open up back in March of 2014. 8 years of being open.
8 years. Very successful then. How did you get involved with Lego?
I had Lego sets back in the 70s. I'm showing some age. For me, it was the spaceships. Christmas 1979 was a very big year for me. Had to have, like when the minifigs first came out, when the astronauts first came out, that was a red letter year for me. I distinctly remember. I'm all about them. The spaceship. Had the mom that couldn't necessarily afford it, had grandparents that supported it. Always wanted the big Lego sets for Christmas, and they did show up because of the grandparents helping out.
There you go. Adam, the way I understand, you and I have got a little bit of a similar story. So how did you get involved, not just with Lego from a personal spectrum, but in the shop as well?
As far as owning a business, a couple years before I opened the shop, at the time I was working for a national soda brand, delivering soda. Got a significant back injury on the job. Ended up with a spiral fracture and had to get a spinal fusion. Was told, hey, you're not going to do this kind of manual labor ever again. Thought it was wise to go back to school and finish up a degree in engineering. At 35 with 2 kids, married, eating with a bunch of 20-year-olds in engineering school. Was quite overwhelming. Yeah, I mean, I was doing, I think, more hours of tutoring than I was actually in class. My parents live on the West Coast. I would take my daughter out there to visit them. I have a nephew that's the same age as my daughter, and we would run around and hunt down Lego. Kind of ran across this franchise. Had it sitting in the back of my mind. After I was cleared, had proposed opening up a drinking establishment to my wife, and she proceeded to tell me that I would be single and lonely very quickly if that's what I chose to do. So I kind of threw that out the window because I do like her quite a bit. We were out to dinner one night, and I just jokingly showed her the Bricks and Minifig website and was like, hey, let's just open this boutique-y store. Their hours are great. They're like 10 to 7. She was like, that sounds great. Bought into the franchise, and I have a pretty long history with my father as far as, we dealt in comic books, baseball cards. We used to go to trade shows all the time.
Here we are today.
Yeah. So almost 8 years later. Yeah.
So we're you said about 3,000 square feet.
Yeah, we're right at 3,000 square feet. That would include a party room that we currently have shut down from COVID.
All right, so walking through your shop here, what stands out the most to you guys as far as the theme that people buy the most?
Star Wars has always been, the most popular thing. As far as our quantity and selection of new and box product has just increased significantly over the last year or so. Just before COVID hit, we were actually able to sign a contract with Lego to buy directly from them wholesale. Previously, we were just specialized in used stuff, and then any new and box stuff that we would get would be retired stuff and out of production.
Now, with that contract, are you guys allowed to do like the VIP points and stuff?
We don't have, we don't.
Still not part of that.
Yeah, we don't necessarily use their VIP program. We do have a VIP program here that we offer that you get points per dollar, and then at 100 points, you get a $6 rewards that you can use just as a discount on a purchase.
Okay.
But collectively, we sell more individual minifigures, which is something that Lego isn't able to do just through their licensing. We have all the previous blind bag series, all the Star Wars, Marvel, DC superheroes, all the different themes. We sell the minifigures individually. And that's probably our number one thing that we provide our customers.
Cool. On the sets that you guys purchase from customers, how many of those you think you see in a week's time coming in and out?
I mean, this entire section, we turn it completely over once every 2 weeks.
Wow.
So, there's some stuff that hangs out. Like, I can say that this bigger Technic truck has been here for about a month. We do a lot of turnover. We get a lot of trade-ins. Kids are consistently graduating up to different themes. Savvy parents are aware that, like, hey, you know what? I can get my kid to trade in their old stuff, so it's not just laying around the house collecting dust, and that helps them, move into another theme. And then I have customers that just like to buy sets and build them, and then they're kind of done with them. They're not putting them on the shelf anymore.
They got what they wanted.
Yeah, the thrill of the build is for them. Yep.
On your bulk Lego, how many pounds do you think you guys have here?
In the store total, 1,200, 1,400 pounds.
That's quite a bit of bulk Lego.
Yeah, we hide it really well.
So, out of your bulk Lego, how do you guys see the majority of that coming in? Is it just in bags and totes, or is it just parts of sets that, like you
Yeah, I mean,
mentioned
I
before?
tell everybody at one, especially with kids that are starting out, getting into Lego, and parents that are like not really knowing where to start. I tell them just to get this. At one point in time, everything in this table was a brand new, shiny, new in box set.
Yeah.
That became this. With kids that are just starting out, I tell parents just grab a bag, have them pick out all the parts they think are super cool, and then
They may not like it. They may love it. Either way.
yeah. I mean, we carry some books, but like every bookstore has 100 different how-to, creative ideas, everything else.
Right.
Like once you start getting into buying Millennium Falcons and X-Wings and, this Iron Man set, like that's all it's ever going to be until it becomes this.
Come in and we can kind of like turn them around as they come in with the tub, and you see like there's most of the Millennium Falcon there, and there's a chunk of the X-Wing, and I'll tell them straight up, I'm going to have to assume it's not there, because once you've paid a teenager $15 an hour to dig through it, and then you find out that it's not all there, I'm not going to spend another $50 to find out that it's not there. So turn around, throw some Star Wars movies in the VCR or whatever, and sit down in the movies and come back, and I can pay you more.
There you go.
Or I'll give you $20.
He said VCR.
I'm that old. Yes, I did.
At least he didn't throw out the laser disc.
So, or some of them will say,
VCR.
no, whatever, I'll take $20 for it,
Yeah.
and then we will risk it, and maybe it is.
Here's the key question: was it VHS or Beta?
Oh, man. Throw it in the VCR.
Throw it
Wow.
in the VCR.
So
Yeah, and I had a flip phone until only a couple of years. Yes, I'm that old.
Oh, you did have a flip phone. Yeah, I remember that.
what would be some pointers? Now, you've already given some pointers towards kids, coming into it. What about adults that's getting newly involved into the hobby?
Collect what you like. For adults, I'm a firm believer that it's still a toy. It's meant to be built and played with.
Right.
If you want to invest in stuff, be extremely cautious with it and extremely patient. I think the market's crazy. I think it's overinflated with people speculating and forcing shortages on certain sets.
Right.
Just by the quantity that they buy, but people need to understand that they're out there. When the $800 UCS Millennium Falcon dropped, I knew guys that were, running multiple credit cards up and buying 40, 50, 60 of them just to create the bubble for themselves to be able to make it impossible to find to try to profit off. Out of stock at Lego doesn't mean retired at Lego.
That's the key right there.
Yeah.
Now, a lot of times I'll mention just buy what you like.
Yeah.
If you like it, buy it. If you don't,
Yeah.
don't. My thing is I like these 3 cars and Speed Champions. I'm not going to go out and buy every one that was produced that year just to have a complete collection of Speed Champions.
Now, there are some people that are
like.
completionists that want to do that, and that's understandable also.
If that's what they like, that's hats off to them, let's do it. You mentioned about being patient. What's your guys' thoughts on the new Titanic?
I haven't seen it in person. I have read the specs on it.
It is monstrous.
Yeah, but is it really only like...
It's 53 inches long, I think 17 inches high.
It's only 6 inches wide.
I think it's 6 or 7, maybe. I'm not for sure on the width on it.
I mean, I would categorize that into what Lego have really started focusing on the adult collector. We'll see how that pans out. I mean, like the botanical sets are just amazing. I think they're glorious. The Titanic, I love it. I am expecting after the first of the year to start seeing Titanics coming through the door used.
Okay. Now, see, that's one set that I think I will purchase, but that I purchased, the night that it was released, absolutely not.
No.
I'll sit back. I'll wait on that. Do I have a spot for it? Yeah, absolutely. I've got a spot, waiting for that ship to go. I'm a Titanic nut. I love everything about the Titanic, but I'm not buying into that one yet.
It's all relative. For me, $400 is a lot of money. For somebody else, $800 isn't a lot of money. So they just have to have what they have. We also, we don't sell over MSRP for current production stuff. We strive to hit below eBay sold listings on when we're selling our used products.
When guys come in with sets, you said there's no way that's going on the shelf for resale. That's going home in my private collection. Have you ran into that? Brock has.
Yes. So we're pushing 8 years. I would say the first 3 to 4 years, I wouldn't sell a piece of monorail, anything.
You'll never have it.
Yep. If one piece of track came in or 900 pieces of track
that was
came
in your collection.
It was sitting in my office. That was going into my collection.
See, it's funny.
Have a half dozen.
What about you, bud?
The monorail is funny, and that's the most noteworthy. The space monorail, I know for a fact we've only had 3 complete space monorails come through this store in the whole time we've been here.
Do you have all 3 of them now?
No, but the last one that came through is in my house.
That was going in your collection.
I wasn't even going to pretend I was going to put a price tag on it or anything. That was just, we're going to throw some money in the register, and this is coming home with me, and I'll explain to the wife when I get home.
Well, when I met Brock, all of his classic space guys looked like his shirt.
Kind of worn, showing their age. I mean, the ones from my original collection.
Right.
But then 7 years here.
Yeah, 7 years later, Brock can pull out 400 or 500 classic spacemen that look like they just came out of the printing.
Nothing wrong with them.
It's little by little as it comes in. Like, we could sell this for, or I could just throw the employee discount on it. That one's going home with me. And
the running joke here is if anybody comes into the store, any customers come in the store looking for old grays or classic space parts, that Brock has to bring them back to the store from his house.
You do not look in the tables for classic space parts.
He goes home with it.
I guarantee they're not going to be here. You tell me what you need. I will have it in the store.
And he'll bring it into the store. It's a courtesy. It's a courtesy we offer.
Is there any particular set that either one of you guys have built and actually hated the build, but liked the product, the outcome of the product itself? That's
right there at the end of the shelf.
And they were in South Carolina, and they had a bunch of sets to sell at one point in time, and we worked out a deal, kind of sight unseen, and they were going to ship me the sets up here, and I was going to take a look at them, kind of verify if they were all there and complete, and it was what it was, and then I would tell them a check if everything was good. So the lot that came up, it was about 50 different sets, but like the big dollar set in the collection was that Unimog there. So I was like, well, if this Unimog's in here, we're all good. And all the rest of it was pretty easy to build. So I was super determined and was like, I'm going to build this Unimog. It was all in one Ziploc bag. 18 and a half hours later of straight building, I was done with the Unimog. I also had a busted blood vessel in my eye. That was 6.5 years ago. And I'm pretty sure I've never touched another Technic set since then. I think they're really cool when they're built, especially when you can drive them around and the remote control. I just don't want to build one anymore. Like the disparaging thing about that set was I was 4 hours into it and I flipped the page on the manual and I realized I was only halfway done with the chassis. There was a whole nother section of the chassis just as big after 4 hours.
What theme do you think you like the best?
I really like the Star Wars up to a couple years ago. I don't want to get a bunch of hate on your channel. I've never watched The Mandalorian. I've never watched The Bad Batch. I'm just not a TV watcher. Okay.
I won't hold that against you. That's one that I binge watch because of my back issue.
Gotcha. Yeah. So I think I am personally a completionist. I struggle with all the different offshoots of Star Wars that's going on right now. I really love the modulars. They're just absolutely phenomenal. I do not have room to have a bunch of modulars. My pride and joy always has been monorail.
Brock, what about you, bud? What do you think? What's your favorite theme?
Absolutely has to be classic space. That's what I grew up on, but I'm also a huge just aviation and space nerd to begin with.
Okay.
In general, so pretty much anything NASA. I have every space shuttle that Lego has ever made. All of the rockets, all of the rovers. She knew she was down the rabbit hole and can't back out when she bought me the Curiosity rover, the Lego Ideas one that was actually designed by a NASA engineer.
Right, absolutely.
Had to be all over that one. That's holds a very proud spot on the top of my China hutch. That's
a good collector piece. Very good collector piece now.
So if I had the Moonlanders side by side, the original, the new one, which one would you gravitate to?
It's
Which one would you
really tough call, because the very first one, and you talk original as in 1976,
pick? 76, 77 range, yes.
That one has a really hard nostalgia draw for me because that's one of the first recognizable sets that I had as a child. Right. But the newest one is gorgeous.
The attention to detail on it.
They're both in my China hutch.
That's not a fair question, is it?
Asking Grandpa to pick a favorite grandchild. You're like, I don't know that I could pick one. I have to admit to the new one just because the attention to detail is incredible.
And see, I'm the same way, but my wife would pick the original. She said she likes the original design, the simplicity of it.
There's something about, and the fact that you actually can lift the top off of those legs on the original one, that's a play feature from back when you only had like 9 different kinds of bricks. To achieve that with such limited pieces.
And that's the actual key point that you just made, is the play aspect of it, because that's what it was designed to be, was to be played with.
I'm Adam. I own Bricks Minifigs Louisville. We're at 1850 South Hurstbourne Parkway in Louisville, Kentucky. We're open 10 to 7 Monday through Saturday, 11 to 6 on Sundays. You can find us on Facebook at Bricks Minifigs Louisville. Our number is 502-709-4202. If there's anything that you're looking for that you're having trouble finding, please feel free to give us a call. We can do our very best to hunt it down. I appreciate you guys coming out, taking time with us today.
We hope you enjoyed today's tour and interview. And if you did, be sure and like, subscribe, and don't forget to ring that little bell. See you later.